Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Mandalorian Season 3 review. This is Episode 4. I am the Hammer Bro, Travis Snell, and I'm joined by...
I'm the foundling, Kirklin Patzer.
Yeah, it's a nice duo. Last week it was you and Taylor, and now it's me and you.
What's
I don't
next
know.
week going to be?
That's up to you, I guess, but you're more than welcome, but I'm sure something will come up. Well, I guess the show's not almost over. I guess, what is it? It's 9 episodes, right? Is it 9 or 8 or 10? I don't know. No. Are we thinking 9 though because of Last of Us?
Probably. Let me see.
Yeah. Take a look because that will go into a bigger conversation point I have tonight. But anyways, yes, we are here to review The Mandalorian as usual every Wednesday, Thursday for the audio listeners. Big thank you to everyone that listens to the audio, whether you're listening to the Weekly Geeks, the side quests. Last week we reviewed. Oh gosh, what was the movie that was out last week? There's some movie.
You had a couple movies, didn't you?
No, that was Screaming 65.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
There was another movie last Shazam.
That you do that on purpose?
Everything.
Yeah.
No, not at all. That says everything you need to know about Shazam having these terrible box office numbers. Literally, it was less than a week. I'm like, what do we review? And I know we review lots of content, but for a bigger thing, the bigger stuff's The Rock and Zachary Levi fighting, which we'll talk about probably on After 9. But
there's 8 episodes of Mandalorian.
I thought that was the case, and we'll get that in my
short. Okay,
we'll get that in my conversation because that's something. But yeah, big thank you to everyone that checks out. This week we'll be doing John Wick. You ready tomorrow for 3 hours of John
ready.
Wick?
I'm pumped.
Yeah, I'm excited. People are saying some good things. What'd you say?
Got my tickets.
I hope. It's tomorrow.
I got my tickets yesterday. My theater was filling up more so than usual. I feel like now too, because I do it through like the Landmark Extras VIP Club thing. It's like through my email, and a lot of the time I get them like as soon as they go live. But sometimes they just slip through the cracks. And I was just going through my emails and I was looking at it. It's like, okay, I have my early access D&D tickets. Me and Taylor are gonna be seeing that on Sunday. I'm excited for that. But then I had no John Wick in there like at all. It's like I swear to God I got this already, but. No, that would have sucked because I would have just walked in there probably around that time, 7 o'clock. No.
But one in the front row, and you just would have been like, just front row.
The Taylor special.
Just Keanu Reeves firing away while your head's tilted.
I only ever had to sit in those seats once, and it was for Episode 7 of Star Wars. I was seeing it for like the 3rd or 4th time or something, and yeah, I bought tickets like basically right before the movie, and they were like in the corner looking up. I can't believe they even allow seats to be there. That's just, I feel like that's damaging on your health.
It's like waterboarding torture,
Like
it's funny. Like the closest lately I've been was funny enough talking about Shazam, like we joked about before during Black Adam when Taylor had to sit 3rd row. But funny enough, the only time I've sat front row was Revenge of the Sith. It was the opening night, like midnight showing, and my auntie, I think it was some situation where she didn't know she was gonna get off work, but she really wanted to go because she likes Star Wars and stuff, and like I was a youngin', so it was one of those of like. It was a game time decision, and then it ended up happening. But then it's like, well, when you get in there's not much left and stuff. But it's like, well, I was a kid and I just wanted to see Revenge of the Sith and Vader and everything. And fucking Vader's only movie for like 2 minutes, but the whole movie just seeing Padme kill those seeing Anakin kill those younglings, which we might talk about today, and just like neck crank the whole time. But luckily I was young, so no pain the next day. Nowadays, if I did that, I'd have to take a week off of work.
Back then, now they're brittle and just snap easily.
You go through like a human-sized blender, be fine. Nowadays, like I turn my alarm off and I pull something, But
it's no joke.
Yeah, we're here to talk about The Mandalorian, and everything you need to know is down below. Head over to Patreon because right now you get a bunch of stuff. You can get now it's 4 episodes of the X-Men Retrospective. You can get all the Evil Dead Retrospective. That's a lie. All but one. Love you, patrons.
Gotta update this banner.
We will. Next week, I'm off work for a little bit, so we'll be updating. Our StreamYard's made to switch accounts, so we've missed all our prompts and stuff. Like I just realized today I don't have the Keanu Reeves getting cock, or I got to get that for John Wick, or like I'm gonna come by whatever Adam Sandler and stuff. So lots of stuff we will add and everything like that. So as it says, I was 3rd in row for Love and Thunder. That was the only time I didn't tell my friends which seats we should get. I'm with you because I've had that with Taylor a few times where I feel like I trust him and then it happens and I don't. But yeah, big shout out to patrons. And then you get other stuff ad-free, early, exclusive, and you support the show, whether you're listening or you're on Patreon. We really appreciate it. Appreciate all the Patreon producers. April Braden, Jack Grant, No, April Darkness, Aaron Braden. You know what I think I'm gonna do? And Josh, you're right. I gotta separate Aaron and April. I think it's the two A's that always trip me up. And I know we do it.
Put them in
and
opposite corners. That's what
yeah, and that's one of the perks. Like you get shout. We love everybody, but the producers get a shout out here. They get to vote on things and stuff like that. They get to literally choose the content. And then not the new year, in the near future when we're done some things, the Patreon producers are helping us like produce our films. You guys are gonna get first looks at that and behind the scenes stuff. So we love you. I just gotta separate those, and I don't have the visual aid here, but yeah, tons of stuff going on. And then like Kirklin just pimped out that we'll have an early Dungeons and Dragons review. That's gonna be fun. And then man, Mario's just around the corner too. There's a lot of good stuff coming up. So
Bill and I had a good side quest this week. That was lots of fun. Arcade.
Yeah, I haven't listened to it yet, but that's good.
So much content.
Poured one out for the 3DS. I saw.
Yeah, this sayonara. Apparently the eShop's going down. Are you sad about that, Travis? You're not gonna be able to pick up your 3DS games on the Nintendo eShop there?
I haven't touched my 3DS in probably a good 8 to 9 years. Or
Getting
like
close to that decade mark.
Yeah, the only time I bought them is they had some sale where they're getting rid of them at Best Buy, and I got one for $50 or something like that, and I got 2 or something. So yeah, it was a good deal.
2.
But
Damn.
yeah, well, there's maybe I was even wrong. It might have been maybe 54 too. It was something. It was some weird. They're going out. This one was going out of stock or something. I don't know. Got a good deal. Either way, before I get a 1-star pin. This is not Mandalorian. I need to check too.
That's
Make sure okay, good. No echolocation either. Or echo cancellation. They find me. so
the StreamYard duck just swoops in, picks you up.
Yeah. So funny enough, Taylor's not here for this one, which is I feel like we're gonna get to hear his thoughts next week. So there's 2 things I want to open up with. One, my thoughts for last week. I thought it was a good episode. I get why people are mixed on it because people make that case of oh, well, it's like Boba Fett. There's no Mando in the episode, and what's the point of this all? Who knows? I liked the episode, but I also get people's critiques, and I'm more so just waiting to see where it goes. But as Kirklin talked about, there's only 4 episodes left after this one. So this is where, and maybe Kirk will have overall, but for my overall, I want to do much like season 4 part 1, where we just had a discussion opening. And I just want, because this is where I'm very torn on the show. I like the show. I had fun during this episode. But like I said, there's just a part of me where, and I want to ask you, can you tell me what the story of the season is?
Mando needs to redeem himself.
Okay, and that's done.
Get his Mandalorian isms back. Yeah, and that's done. Now he's got some new party members on board, like Bo-Katan. Now it's maybe exploring her.
So what is our goal?
Ways.
What's our goal? What
Grogu's getting? He's entering the Mandalorian ways. It just seems like we're in Mandalore camp, and everybody's just getting their signets and their helmets and just their status here.
You think about all the shows we've reviewed, I'd say the past couple years, right? Like Dexter, okay? He has a son he's trying to deal with. How do I be a serial killer and have a son? You got Last of Us. I got Ellie to this place. You got Mando season 2. I got to get Grogu to this place. House of Dragon. It's all about the throne. What else have we reviewed recently? Rings of Power. It's all about who's Sauron and stuff like that. I don't know. And and we're going to talk about this. We got a Patreon special coming. Well, it's not special for the patrons. It's exclusive. So our bread and butter, we're going to be talking about franchise fatigue because all 3 Marvel, Star Wars, DC have had a very tough 2023 so far. And I wonder if people are where I am, where I like what I see. There's some really exciting stuff here. There's one scene in here that I'm sure Taylor was creaming his jeans over and stuff like that. And there's a very fun, there's a very, through the, just cologne, you could feel, holy shit, I'm gonna come.
When it happened, it woke me up. It was shaking my whole bed.
Yeah, it's you remember in the Justice League Snyder cut when they replay Superman dying, and when he dies, his screams echoes throughout the world. That's Taylor. He's
yeah.
And so that's what I mean. I'm enjoying it. I know people are gonna pitch me well, it's a Saturday morning cartoon. I guess I get that. I guess I don't feel any urgency to watch this show, and I just feel other people might be with the ratings go down. It's I feel now, and I would still watch it because it's Star Wars, but the fact of maybe this would be better if you binged it all. And again, I don't want to come here and be oh, this is a bad episode, this is bad. There's some things that I had issues with, but I just watched this episode and I just what the fuck are we doing here? What's going on? What is, and it's just these it's just, we used to talk about how it would be you have Mando, you have your side quest, but it just feels now since he went in those waters, and it's been only 2 weeks, but it's just side quest city. And the thing is, like, we only have 4 episodes left. That's my thing of, like, it just feels like there's no urgency. And it just, if I were to tell someone, like, tell me the story of this season, I remember all the trailers leading up to this, they looked very, like, mysterious. They didn't show much. They're like, oh, they're probably hiding that plot, like they don't want to reveal what's happening. I think it's just because they had no plot. They had they had no plot to show. Like, I just don't know. And I just feel like there's certain things that we talked about leading to this episode of certain characters when they interact or meet. Oh, this is gonna be very exciting. And nothing's really coming of it. It's just, oh, you're a Mandalorian? Yeah, I'm a Mandalorian. Okay, good. And it's just them being Mandalorians. And I'm not saying you can't enjoy it. I just feel like I have no, like, I forget that it's sometimes the day when it's dropping. And then when I watch, like I said last night, there's things I enjoy. But what is our end goal here? And it's so funny, a couple weeks ago when we started, and I was so not looking forward to the whole season being, oh, Mando has to redeem himself, like, in the waters. And I was like, okay, good, that's over, like, episode 2. But now it's just maybe I be careful what you wish for, because maybe that's the story I would have wished, is just another him traveling to places. I don't know. So I'm kind of lost with the show as far as I enjoy what they give me, but it just feels like it's just and I know it's not. It just feels like it's an improv game where it's and then it's like, well, this happens. Okay, then a big creature happens. Okay, well, and then we'll do this, and it just feels like there's nothing for me to grab onto, like being invoked, like, man, what this great Star Wars story. It just feels so safe. That's maybe what it is. And then I'm getting really annoyed with how safe it's getting. And like I said, in season 1, I had issues, but I felt like I was alone. But now with these ratings going on down, and we'll talk more about that on Saturday, I just feel like maybe I'm not alone in the sense of people just don't feel like a pull to watch the show as much anymore. Because what is there pulling you now? You know, what is the gripping tale that the Mandalorian's trying to tell? And I don't know. So you can go, Kirklin. You can respond to what I said or say what if you liked the overall. But I watching last night, I was just sitting there like, okay, what are we doing here? At the end, it didn't give me anything more of what we're doing. It's just, okay, cool.
I think you bring up some really great points there that because maybe I can ask you this. Like, when the show was first coming out, what was it pitched as? Was it like, it's going to be this grand tale where this Mandalorian gets really, like, deep connection with a force-sensitive creature that you know and love, or familiar with at least, and then, like, it's just him going on adventures that way, or like doing side quests? I feel like they didn't
pitch us though. We just saw a Mandalorian armor. I'm gonna go pull up the synopsis for the first episode ever, and I want to know, like, what the pitch was. But I feel like they just showed him doing stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I even remember just like leading up to the show thinking about the idea, and it's like, oh yeah, it's just following a Mandalorian and just doing things that Mandalorians do, like getting bounties and stuff, which that was shown in the first episode for sure. That's all he was doing. And I think there's been moments like that throughout the show, but I think the issue there is they ventured off that path and made like an insanely epic, like, plot point story. Oh, okay, there you go. You want to read that off?
This was the synopsis of episode 1. A Mandalorian bounty hunter tracks a target for a well-paying mysterious client. So to Kirklin's point, yeah, well paying. Yeah, here you go, client. So yeah, Kirklin's point, just a guy doing bounty hunter things. Yeah, but like you said with season 2, though, it changed.
Yeah, exactly. Like they go in these directions to take us on these super big, impactful moments, like dealing with Moff Gideon, dealing with the Darksaber, dealing with, I mean, hell, we had Luke Skywalker on screen.
Like, the Darksaber is nothing in this season. Yeah. Like, it's just an item now. You know?
Yeah, remember that season 1 finale? How insane that was? Like, the repercussion of what this blade's gonna mean, and like that. Those were fantastic moments. But like, to your point of like when you're watching this last night, it's like, what am I watching here? It's like you're watching kind of what the show kind of was initially pitching, but the problem is that they took us to these highs with like these super big moments that I feel like they just shifted the entire like just feel of the show. Where now when you get like going back to the origins of the show, just like him doing adventures or maybe some Mandalorian stuff, it feels flat because we've seen these big things and we're waiting for that next big thing to happen. And I think like your point is completely fair, and like I know you're not alone in those thoughts. And I feel like on the grand scheme of the story, I am there, but also like what you're saying, I'm able to just enjoy the like what was on screen. Even though every time I see Grogu, I think of the Luke moment. I'm like, I can't believe that he actually went with Luke according to the canon, even though where we are, it doesn't feel like he actually did at all. I guess he's doing some flips now, so that's a new Luke
And they just
trait,
dropped
but
one
still.
minor spoiler. Just Bo-Katan's like, where did you learn that? Not from me. And it's like, right,
Yeah.
Luke taught him how to jump. You know.
Yeah, I'm like,
Cool.
I think it was a couple years. I don't even remember what was said because they haven't really talked about that on the
Yeah,
screen. So
it's very murky. It's a whole. It's gone from 2 weeks to 2 years to a year to something in the middle, and we don't
yeah,
still really know what it is.
it's a weird situation though. How like some of the peak moments throughout this entire show have kind of like cursed it in a sense that like if it isn't getting to that level on like a consistent like wave
Mm.
pattern of like it has a really big moment and then it goes down and then maybe some side quests but like leading up to that next big moment, and if it's not leading up to that big moment, kind of like where we are right now halfway through the season, it feels lackluster. So it is a strange decision for them to go this route. I'm like, there's not really any signs of like where we're going for a big finale, at least yet in the show. But
Mhm.
I feel like we would be getting something if we're already episode 4 of 8 now, right? We're done
Yeah, and
episode
that's
4 of 8. We're going into 5 now.
you're going to 5. Yeah, and there's like one potential route I could see maybe, and I'm hoping, and that's what we'll talk about in spoilers. Like, it's not, and that's what I mean. I'm not giving up all hope. I'm not like this show shit. Again, I still enjoy stuff. It's just, yeah, kind of like what we talked about. I do remember like what you're referring to. I remember season 1. That was some of my stuff where people like that a lot more. And I guess I did like season 1. I quite enjoyed it, but it was this thing of I was hoping for more story, but it was kind of like the adventure of the week and stuff like that. And again, I still always wish if we got adventure of the week, I wish we just got a bounty hunter show like that. I like Grogu, but I really wish it was just every week, different contract, like different planet. Like and I was hoping that's what Boba Fett was going to be. And that was like, here's the thing. This is not, Mandalorian's not Boba Fett levels. Don't get me wrong. But it's just funny that now I'm trying to get back in the mindset of what season 1 is, and it was hard. And for me, it's like, and this is like a minor spoiler, but at one moment there's a character who has a flashback because the armor is banging something over and over. I don't care. I'll say it's Grogu. Like Grogu's sitting there, and the armor starts to bang something, and then Grogu like freezes, and he goes back, and I just felt like, man, it just feels like we had season 1 and then season 2, like new writers came in, and then the first season 1 writers came back for season 3. And it's just like, I get it. It's just, to me, that is just so, I hate that thing. It's just so cheesy. There we go. It's just so cheesy that they did it again. And I remember in season 1, we used to meme on all the time because they did it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And like, they almost did it again at the end of this episode.
Back.
Yeah, they brought it back, and that's where I just feel like we're stepping backwards. And I think it's also just because like my fear is all those quotes of Favreau being like, yeah, this is paraphrase, like there's no end in sight, and just that's why when I watch them, like, yeah, there is no end in sight. Like, this is why we can take our sweet time, because, and not in a good way where it's like, oh, we're breathing with the characters. It just feels like, okay, it's just this mini adventure. And don't get me wrong, if you want your slice of Star Wars, if you want something, like, I think it fulfills that. I think it is a great adventure show. I guess it's just, and maybe too that because we got Andor as well too, that I'm just now spoiled because I again saw what Star Wars could be, and also it's probably just a combination of all the Star Wars news too. But it's just, Andor was less than 6 months ago, and that showed, hey, you can have your Star Wars world stuff, but also have these great stories and great characters, and you can listen to me, and I'm hoping that's the same thing. The first 2 episodes of Andor, I liked it, but I wasn't as high as Kirklin and Taylor, but then eventually I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. So I'm hoping these last 4 episodes can do that. I just don't have much faith because I feel like some of their weakest stuff has been like the ending of their seasons, between like now the Luke thing and then Boba Fett especially. So that's where it's just like, that doesn't have me really primed that we're going into the back half. And I feel like big moments happen in this show and people get hyped about those, but when you look at it overall, like how much are these characters even going to change from these last, how much is Din Djarin going to change in this? Where season 2 it felt like there was a change and some emotionality, and I don't think that's even a word, but just some uprising and changes, and I don't know. Anything else non-spoiler to get into, because anything else I have to say is spoiler wise. So
yeah, but like quick overall for the episode, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
I did too.
Yeah, just watch this episode and have a good time, because that's what you get.
Sorry, I don't swallow lime Ricky right away, because if you stop there, you can feel the bubbles in your mouth, and it's good stuff. When's the last time you got a lime Ricky? It's been a while.
Probably, honestly, like after the charity stream, because
Oh, yeah.
we bought like that 6-pack, and then I went home with a couple and then drank them. But I don't know. Maybe I'll check. I work like across from Safeway, so maybe I'll pop in there tomorrow and check
Save
that out.
On, not Safeway.
They don't have it at Safeway?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
It's okay. I'll bring some up to the cat in April. I'll have a lime Ricky
There
off,
you go.
but
I'll wait till April then.
yeah. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our first ad break and then we'll be back in spoilers. And there's a lot to talk about this episode, so it should be a fun one. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So I know there's a big thing to talk about, but I want to wait for that for a second because I want to transition into like some of my more like the what I was talking about before, like the spoiler version of that is. I think there's two things that we talked about of like, okay, what's the armor gonna think of Grogu being in the clan? There's just nothing. He's just accepted into it. Like I just feel like no one's talked about he's a Force user, he's not of their species, he's not wearing a helmet, but none of that is talked about with Grogu. Doesn't even matter. It's just he's training now and he's beating kids, and it's like I get the point. They're trying. There's like this training session, and like the little Mandalorian like learns his lesson, but it's also like. This kid's like has the Force, like it's completely unfair. Like it doesn't match up the same way he trained the other Mandalorians, but that's fine. And then the other one I felt like, and this is where I have hope. And by hope is Bo-Katan's fucking around with them, and I actually want her. At first, I didn't want her to be the antagonist, but I do. But I remember we're like, man, I can't wait till she talks to the armor. That's gonna be a fascinating conversation. And guess what? It's not. There's nothing. They talk about the beast, but I just like they're not talking about anything that was to me the exciting points of these characters meeting as far as just, oh, you lost armor. Hey, oh, I did. I'm gonna build you a new one. This is the way. I'm getting sick and tired of this is the way. How many like she said Bo-Katan like asked some like personal question like how do you know this is the right way to go, and I was saying okay, here we go, we're gonna get some good conversation. She goes, this is the way, and I go, oh fuck, like this is just the writer's way out of like, well, we have nothing good here, so just put this is the way, and the people are like, yeah, this is the way. So she told him about the beast, and the same thing, she said something about like, oh, when you follow our clan, some things, dreams become realities. Is that true? This is the way. And it's just okay, so I was so excited for the armor and Bo-Katan meeting because there's such different personalities, and that's why I feel like between Grogu being there and Bo, they just jump over and they're just like, yeah, it's happening, and okay, cool, like the Luke thing, right? Yeah, it happened, and then they move on. It's like, oh, there's like that's why I hate that there's good things you could be diving into, like what we talk about the end, or I'm trying not to compare, but where it's like every character had something interesting going on, and they would take the time with it, and I get that different show, longer and everything, but I feel like there's like some prime. I would love to have a conversation, like a 10-minute conversation of Bo and the armor actually talking about real stuff, like not just this the way, like really, even if it was Bo pushing back a bit and the armor like turning her and being like, no, you should be with us, like just talk about morals and the differences of the clans and their lives and maybe why she at one point distanced herself from this lifestyle, but it's just not there, and that's what's annoying me, because then the stuff that's there is just this is the way, and it's very just kind of basic stuff, and like, okay, that's all right, it works, but not, it just doesn't get above a certain level.
Yeah, like fair point for sure there. For myself and the armor, I'm really like seeing this armor as just this like weird like philosophical or like Buddhist, like no, like a monk type like persona where like she just like almost like a Rafiki type where like she's not gonna give you like a clear answer, but like it gives like in few words she can say something, and then you really have you like stew upon it. And I feel like that's kind of the way that conversation went. But to your point, I don't think that is an excuse not to have those types of conversations. Maybe just the armor isn't the best person to have it, even though she probably is, because she's
like the leader of this.
She seems like
me,
the most like just like entrenched in the lore too, like just totally knows all these answers about Mandalore. But maybe that's the thing with the Mandalore way, is that it's not just an easy answer in that regard. I'm very limited in my own Mandalorian knowledge, so yes. I don't know if it's right or wrong there. Because there was a couple moments between like Din and Bo in this episode where Din was kind of like coaching her on like a couple Mandalorian way things. The way I said way, gosh, it's just coming in now. So like maybe they could have spent more time with those two, like between Bo and Din just kind of like filling her in on like the actual Mandalorian way, because like he's pretty educated so far in the Mandalore way, it seems, pretty much throughout the whole episode, but he hasn't had much people to like interface with to actually like relay that information. So maybe that's where they could have spent that time there. Because
but then a child gets kidnapped and we have to go on a fucking 20-minute adventure.
Yeah, and then like that's the issue is that like the show just keeps flip-flopping between like a really like story focused show and something where it's just like a filler show where I feel like Clone Wars is kind of a comparison of that. I didn't get too far in Clone Wars where I was watching. It was mostly filler stuff. I heard maybe in the later stuff or later seasons it gets a lot more story dense, but yeah, I feel like, and like even like Superbad Mike in the comments here, he brought up a good point. Another reason Andor worked so well is they knew it was a 2-season story from the start. And for Mandalorian, I feel like there's moments where you could just piece it together and have that like just infinite show where like maybe we don't even get Moff Gideon for like the first 2 seasons or something. Like if they really just want to stretch it out forever, just do these like random bounty missions for a very long time, and then eventually it just leads up to this like very nice natural progression of these big hit moments, like a Moff or like Din getting the dark saber. You could do the Luke moment really well if we've had hours upon hours of him actually being like with Din already, and then he departs, and then we could just carry on with the bounty hunter show, and then a season or 2 later, that's when Grogu comes back, and it's a very big emotional moment. But it just seems like I don't know. They what's the best way to phrase it? They want their cake and eat it too. Whatever that saying is.
Bake their cake and eat it.
Baking
too.
it, yeah.
Actually,
exactly.
looking for this is the way.
That's the best way to explain it, I guess. I don't know. I'm like I'm mixed on these thoughts here because it just seems that that's what the show is kind of I don't know, showing me at least.
Yeah, and I feel like, and I never try to say this as an insult, but that's where it feels like when this child gets kidnapped, it just feels like Filoni and Favreau just want to bust out their toys and like, oh, we're gonna make a fucking fun Star Wars episode. And I get that, but that's where it's just like I feel like, you know, the bake you're kicking into, you could have it both ways, and that's where I guess it's probably a budgetary thing. But this episode's 33 minutes. It's probably more like under 30 minutes with credits and everything, right? So that's where it's like you don't get time because I feel like what they are wanting to explore more is the big adventure aspect of Star Wars, which I appreciate. I know there's probably tons of people that like that more than anything else, but I wish they would spend a little more time. This is half an hour of just the clan, just the environment and doing everything in it and talking. But that's where I feel like you can't have these deep conversations because, yeah, we got to fight a big dragon, which this dragon or whatever it is looked fantastic. Some of the best, I think, CG like effects of the show. Like it looked really well done. Didn't take me out of it. I liked the idea enough of like, especially too, I like the aerial battles. That was fun to see multiple Mandalorian stuff. So that's where I go, okay, everything here, it's done well. I like the idea of this kid being kidnapped and he's gonna feed him to like these little dragons and stuff like that. You got Paz Vizsla just acting like an idiot and everything, just not he's
Ragnar!
Gonna eat him. Ragnar. Never name your kid Ragnar and stuff like that. But so that's it. Like I like all that stuff. It just feels like sometimes it's at the sacrifice of getting more interesting characters or more interesting stories, you know, and that's where same thing. Now I feel like the armor in Bo-Katan, okay, so that's to me not gonna, unless I said there's some secret Bo, but that to me that's a non-story, so that's gone. Grogu, he's just back. Like I said, just even the armor, just even like I'm assuming she has, but why have we not seen on screen her just ask like excuse me, like what happened? Like I said bring him to his people, and especially it has been a year. It's like bring him to his people, and now like a year later he's back. Like, so like what happened there? Like why is he gonna be a Mandalorian now? Like, but no, he's just here.
This is the way.
This is the way. And same thing with the dark saber. That felt like that was gonna be a big crux at the beginning of the season, but now it's not. So it's just like, so is it literally just now a weapon he's just acquired and he's sitting around with? So I'm hoping there's something more with these last 4 episodes. You know, one episode he has to fight that fucking seaweed monster guy,
right?
So that's one down. So I feel like we really only got 3 and that's gonna be, I think, like a full action episode of just like space battles and
finale. That's the big boss.
Yeah, played by that great actor, whoever the fuck that is Taylor's talking about. But honestly, at this point, it could be the big boss, right? I could see something like they're training at this Mandalorian clan. This space pirate has found out where they are, and he just bombs them, and they gotta go get revenge, right? And I guess, you know, that's fine. A simple John Wick revenge tale. But you know the differences with John Wick, I guess people would say like, well, that aerial action scene, that's what it is, right? That's your John Wick stuff, and I guess so. But I don't think it's to the John Wick level for me where it's like, man, this is amazing action, you know?
That comparison too, John Wick knows, like, the people that made John Wick knew exactly what they were making. It's not about a crazy story. It's a guy that just is kicking ass. Every single movie. Oh, what's changed? Well, now everybody's after him and he's kicking more ass and the action just keeps ramping up and it's amazing.
And now a country's after him. Some guy in India in a chair.
Yeah, everyone's after this man. But Mandalorian,
like literally in John Wick, they introduced the high table, and then they said, "Well, there's the higher table." That's just what they do, you know.
No, it's the highest, probably. I'm excited to review it tomorrow.
the point, the pinpoint, the tip of the table, you know.
Yeah, and like if Mandalorian throughout the entire thing has just been about these. Again, I feel like I'm just a broken record at this point, but just was about like these side missions and the Mandalorian things, we'd be having such a different conversation right now. It'd be like, oh yeah, this was just a really fun adventure episode. It was cool seeing this, and yeah, like, but like, it's just this. It's the same thing with the Luke like dilemma that happened. It's just this like cloud now over me every time I watch Mandalorian, and like you said already, I feel like the hype leading into these weekly episodes is very much diminished for myself, and it sounded like you as well.
Well, yeah, and just because, like I said, with other people, that's where I remember season one, I had some issues, but that was doing very well, and people are enjoying and watching and stuff. But now it's just for last week, and so like last week that was like, and obviously it's not the exact thing, and we're gonna talk about it on the Patreon special. But for that to be like the lowest watched episode, and it's only the third episode of the new season, and no one knew it was gonna be the clone guy, like that wasn't in the preview, so it wasn't like everyone decide, hey, it's that clone guy episode, I'm gonna skip it. The first 10 minutes is like on the ship, like space battle action stuff like that. So it's like people skipped it without just knowing, oh, it's another episode of Mandalorian, right? And it's so funny too when we talked about like, oh, they probably brought Grogu back to make sure the ratings stay up, and it's like the fact that they're going down and they brought Grogu back. It's like, now really, what was the point? At least before I could be like, hey, I get it, business wise, you want him around, but now it's like, now ratings have gone down, and now we just have Grogu, and again, he's cute. We're seeing him more using the Force and stuff like that, and that's all good. And again, I think there is something fun of like the episode opens and it's just you have dozens and dozens of Mandalorians that are doing target practice, but lots of them are just shooting the water. So I don't know what that kind of signifies as that. I think it's always my problem with Mandalorian where it wants to be big scale, but sometimes it feels small. And that scene, it was cool, but at the same time could feel like they're all just bunched together. Like it just feels so like they have this entire desert, but they're just all in like this one little sand area, and then a fucking kid gets kidnapped by this dragon, which again, that was all great. That was like, that felt like a great side mission you'd want to play in a video game, you know, like get Pazviz's kid back. The aerial fighting was good. There's some intensity there. So like I said, that it's all thumbs up. I just wish it was kind of both of them. But for if you're here for action stuff, I feel, and if you want the Stars adventure, I feel like they nailed that this episode. You know, you've got that, and they delivered there. Especially we're gonna talk about the flashback, but even without the flashback, I think they nailed the Star Wars action episode.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Talk about adding insult to injury, though. That kid just got his ass handed to him by this little tiny thing that he was just shit talking beforehand, and then he gets kidnapped. He actually gets eaten, and then it like regurgitates him out afterwards. Just a bad string of luck for Ragnar there.
They're gonna send him to the lands of Mandalore to fucking redeem himself, you know, just this little kid
or Ragnar, yeah, just a little foundling. You have to go to Mandalore and just jump in the water like Din did.
Yeah, after the word travels about the beasts in the water, like, no, you still gotta go.
But yeah, like what you said, I think for the action aspect of this episode, it was totally there. It was cool seeing just all the Mandalorians kind of working together, and
that was fun.
Like also like them on the hunt, that was very fun. Them like scaling the walls, and Bo-Katan kind of leading the hunt party there. I that was another like quick little Mandalorian moment where it was like, oh, how do we eat? Well,
yes,
we just fuck off and go find like a quiet little area there. And she's like, oh, okay. And then, you know, she's the leader, so she gets to stick around the fire. That's nice. Get some warm air on her face there. So yeah, I like that aspect. I would have maybe appreciated just more Mandalorian moments, because it seems like we're really bonding with the, what are they called? They're not the Coven, the Covert. The do you remember what it is?
No, you're right with the cohort or something like that. It's something like that. It's around
the Convert. There you go.
So is it the Convert or the Concord?
The Convert.
Okay.
I know that because last episode was called The Convert.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
So like just because we're with them and actually like basically, going on a hunt with them, I would have just expected more moments of this is the way and this like
Yeah.
this is how we do things here, and kind of how we were already talking about with the armor. It seemed like that would have been the ideal person to get that, but she's this very cryptic messenger, it seems, just very obsessed about her forge. And the forge, that's where like I'm seeing these parallels now to like a religion aspect with these Mandalorian people. Like the forge is just this like cathedral thing that's like super sacred to them. The whole process of her fabricating anything, it seems very ritualized, like
Yes.
like same way. And also
you gain memories from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, yeah, that's where you go for your confessions.
Yeah.
And all she says is, this is the way. Yeah.
And like it's that's why I'm interested to see what happens, because I feel like the back half of season 2 and then some of Boba Fett, like I feel like they're trying to paint that out as a bad thing, but now I feel like they've like gone around because they think, well, we actually want like a bunch of Mandalorians in the show, so like let's make it a good thing. And that's where I am interested to see like where the Bo-Katan of it all goes. Like, does she stay with this? Does she keep the helmet on? And I've always wanted to ask this too to somebody more in the know, is the only reason Bo-Katan's doing this storyline because like they can't get Katie Sackhoff for all episodes, so it's kind of like a Pedro thing, right? Where it's like, well, if we put her in the group for this season, then she can be in there, but she can just voice her, right? Like, I don't know for sure. Like, is it always Katie Sackhoff in the Bo-Katan helmet, or is it like Pedro where it's 50%? And I wonder if that's the reason why they've changed this. But yeah, for me, I was that, and I think that's the other thing too. To me, they were proposing a season ago and a little episodes ago of like a storyline of him pushing back against this religion aspect. And now it's just your buddy who's, maybe in Scientology, you want them to get out, and then they're almost out, and then they go back for some reason. You're like, oh, fuck, they're still there. That's what I feel like Din is like, oh, I was really looking forward to seeing Din out and on his own, but they can't do this until they get Pedro Pascal full time, right? And so that's what it is. We'll see. And I guess, like you said, the campfire thing was good. I just wish there's more instances like that. They didn't feel like there was too much tension between Bo and the other Mandos, like maybe a little bit, but not too much. And even though I know Taylor gave us history lesson of him and or her and the Vislas and stuff, but that hasn't come out yet either. So we'll see if they ever talk about anything that I'm gonna tell you they maybe don't, other than like a mention. My question is, so we met as, I don't know, is it Paz or Paz? I don't know. But anyways, Vissa's kid, Ragnarok or whatever his son's name is. Ragnar.
Such a Viking name. I like it.
So they established, they talk about, hey, she's like, how do you eat? How do you take your helmet off? And they say, yeah, okay, like Kirklin said, you go to other places, you eat alone. And this is his son. So how does that work? Do the Mandalorians have to have sex with their helmet on? Are they allowed to take their helmets off while they are with their partners?
That's a good question.
That's all I was thinking about when they're like, oh, it's my son. And I was like, and obviously there's other ones that have sons. So it's like, how does that work essentially? And what happens when the Mandalorian is pregnant? Like, do they have the pregnant
The doctor's got a helmet on.
Yeah, like I guess she has to give birth with a helmet on, and it's just like,
I never really thought about like the family aspect for Mandalorians, because I just never pictured like a ma, pa, son, daughter, everyone just.
Yeah, we didn't see the mom in this episode, so.
We did see the mom or no?
No, we didn't.
No,
right?
yeah,
there was
yeah. That's where I don't know. I really have no guesses for that. It's a fun question, I guess, to pose.
I'm gonna have to ask Taylor, or after, like I suppose suggested, ask Chat GPT and just see, how do Mandalorians have kids and stuff. But
it's taking over the podcast. If you listen to yesterday's episode.
Oh yeah, great breakdown there. I was worried about what Super Mike was gonna bring up, because I was worried for a second. You guys think we'll get a romance between Din and Bo? I don't think it's out of the possibility. I feel like yesterday they were making them quite close. And again, my only hope is, I'm kind of like, my last ditch effort for the season is that my hope is Bo's just fucking around with them, and like she's actually not into all this, and like there's some sort of play here, but I don't know if there is. That's what I'm trying to figure out. And same with the romance, I could see yes and I could see no. So I think I'm like I'll say I'm a 60-40 for no right now, but it's not a strong 60-40. Like, it just felt like they were starting to get little, talking and whatnot. They're close and everything, and it's always like they can add a love interest there, right? And that always adds stakes and stuff. And hey, maybe we'll get that question about the sex rule if they do fall in love, right, with the helmets and
Yeah.
everything. But were you getting any of those vibes, or do you think me and Mike are reading too much into that?
I like, yes, for sure. I know what you guys are talking about. I feel like I just felt those moments a couple times on screen when they're interacting. But
There's a couple beats there where you're like, oh, something's
yeah,
happening here. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I'm still gonna lean like 80% no,
80.
20% yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, you're 60-40.
Yeah.
I'm 80-20 here. I don't know. I just feel like we don't really need that for our protagonist of Din. Like, we really don't need a love interest for him. I don't know.
Or do we? Or is that the story? Is that gonna be the story of Bo and Din together?
That's how the show just ends.
Yeah.
They just get married, and we get a very spicy armor on armor action scene, like Superbad Mike was talking about there.
They're having sex, and the armor's just in the background, like boom, boom, like building armor.
Goes to like a flashback mid sex scene.
Both of them are just bugging out, thinking about other things.
This is the way.
This is the way.
It's so funny though, because like like this being brought up there of like Din and Bo there, and I watched this episode with Shay, which Shay has not been watching The Mandalorian at all. I feel like she's tuned in a couple episodes in like season 1, and she said like, oh, is there gonna be a love interest there? And like, of course it was when Din and Bo are on screen, and I'm like, those two, like, okay, maybe. And then she's like, no, between she met Din in the armor. I was like, oh my gosh, what a
fuck, I hope
there.
so. That'd be really interesting, man.
I hope so as well. I feel like I would be more inclined on that one. No,
the armor is gonna fucking rock Din's world. Everyone remembers Scary Movie when Cindy was on top of Bobby? Like, that would be the armor to Din. Like, she's just gonna she's just gonna destroy him. And the same result might happen, because who knows if Din's had any sex? But like, oh yeah, the armor's into some freaky shit. I'm telling you.
I don't think you're wrong.
Like, look at her shoulder. She's like feather shoulder pads. Like, no, there's something.
It's fur.
There.
It's not feathers. Come on, she's not a bird.
Well, then she'll get feathers, something like that. And then I was going to ask you, so we talked about this a little bit, but Bo did talk about, like, we more said in a joking way, but to break it down, she did talk about seeing the beast. Again, the armor didn't really give him, but she was just all fucking riddles of just like, when you join a scene. But like, why do you think she could fight in the armor? She didn't tell Din about it. She just told no one else about it. Why do you think she could fight in the armor about it? Do you think that was, like I said, is there some sort of game she's playing of trying information? Was it just she feels like she can trust her? What did you take from that scene? Because I don't know yet, other than just, was it just a way to talk to a character about it?
I feel like she has the same thought as us, and it's like, out of everyone who has the Mandalorian information, it's probably the armor. She just seems like the most well read on the subject, and that's kind of my thought there. She's the most knowledgeable. She seems to be like the leader of this Mandalorian way thing. So I don't know, like, because
whatever. Convert.
Yeah, the convert. You were talking about some sussery with Bo there, or is it just maybe more so like a hope that you want her to be suspicious and
that's what I guess things. I could ask you too, like, not just
because I didn't get
Bo.
those vibes at all in this episode.
I don't know if I got the vibes, but I just wonder, because she's getting so ingrained with the culture, like what is Bo and the converts end game? I'm not even totally in the scenes, just like, when we met them in the very first season, they were very scattered, right? It was like Din, Armor, I think Vizsla, and a couple others, right? But obviously they've met other ones, probably all the ones that left Bo, but like they've met other ones. But just like what are they training for? Are all these people still doing bounty missions? Like, I want to know, like, what is the goal of all these people? And also, like, what is the goal of Bo now? And that's why I just wondered, because the Darksaber is on the back burner. I just thought, is there a way now for her? She said she has to win it in combat, so that's why I think, well, probably not. But I guess it's more a hope that there's something happening here with Bo, because I just don't know what does the end of the season look like. Does it just look like they meet a bad guy, they beat him, and then they're just all back at the convert, just waiting for the next journey? And maybe that's it. Maybe that is. And Bo was there. Like, I just don't know what everyone's end game is right now. Like, what a goal is.
I could see if a twist happens with Bo and she does go the more antagonist route. I feel like it would be kind of ending off this season so that we're going
shit.
into it for next season.
Yeah.
Maybe she just gets really, really entrenched in the Mandalorian way, and then that's when she starts feeling like she should be like the rightful leader again, like that motivation kind of gets reignited. Maybe she wants to challenge Din for the Darksaber again.
Right after sex, they're butt naked. That's the way, because she just fucking grab his stuff and just yield.
The light is mine. The Darksaber is mine.
Yeah, this is the way.
Yeah. She like writes that on the mirror in the morning. Like wakes up. Where is she? The Darksaber's gone.
Yeah, dear,
you have
dear
syphilis
gin
now.
lever. Yeah. Wow, poor Bo. And what do you think the convert's doing? Like, what are they like?
Yeah, that's something that I feel like I didn't really think about too much because in season 1, like they had like a system in place where like they are doing missions. I don't know about the specific convert, but at least just interacting with the armor. So it seems like they're just kind of, I don't know, on the run right now, or like just trying to find like a new home. But is that the Mandalorian way? Just like finding like a peaceful life somewhere? It seems like it's not that. If they're always wearing this armor, they should probably be using it for something. I don't know, just helping foundlings, but like they haven't really like spoken about like their motivations at all, and that's something where maybe I just got completely blinded by the action on screen and the fun times where they bamboozled me. They made me not focus on the bigger picture here. So
well, that's what I thought.
Questions.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought about when I opened. I saw them all together. I'm like, okay, so what's the plan? Maybe is that it? Maybe it's just they're all gonna go do missions, get money, and that's fine. Maybe we'll get that information. I was just curious of like, hey, after we like, and let's say there is no twist. Let's say Bo gets in there and she's one of us, and Din's one of us, and we're training Grogu's. Then it's like, okay, then what is next? You're like, what is the next? Like I said, I know Space Pirate Guy's gonna show back up at some point, but what is gonna happen now? You know, and Super Mike says, and something I think would be a good point is, you would think they would try to take back Mandalore now that they know the planet is livable, and yeah, like it's like there's not many of them, but still, maybe it's your home planet and not many people are there, and there's a mythosaur there and stuff like that. I don't know. It's that's probably just not on the budget of the show. Probably that's why to maybe always go back there. I don't know. They do a good enough job with the stuff, but is there anything Bo, Din, Grogu related? Grogu chased some crab rocks or something. You know.
We kind of touched upon already, but like the combat challenge amongst Grogu and Ragnar there. It didn't pop in my mind, but Shay made a great observation. It's like why would they choose the darts there? Like the challenge guy chose the darts. If I was getting challenged by this little like green 1 foot up off I'm like, okay, I'm choosing like a battle axe. That's my weapon of choice here. Sword and shield. That'll be our trial here, not these like wrist rocket that like anyone can really shoot off there. And the whole challenge was strange to me because Grogu beat him by triple tapping him 3 times. Why did Ragnar not do that? He like waited for dialogue, and then I don't know. Pedro was giving Grogu some pep talk, and then he'd go again, get shot. It's like, okay, no, try again. Like you can do this. And then Grogu just does like a triple Jedi backflip, and then just triple taps him. We got a winner. It's as broken as Quidditch is. Like it didn't make sense, the rules there.
No, you took the words right in my mouth. I was like, what's going on here? Because I thought it was like, let's say like a boxing match, right? You get knocked down and they give you the 10 count. And it's like Grogu would get the 10 count. But this kid, like, he'd get knocked down and then Grogu could keep fucking raining the punches on him like UFC style. And I was like, and maybe what they're trying to portray is that the kid was so arrogant and cocky that he was just doing 1, 2, but they should have played that up more, because I thought it was literally like after every hit you have to pause, like fencing,
like karate
reset.
or something.
Yeah, you have to reset and then go again, and that's what I thought. Okay, this is fair. I'm like, how's Grogu gonna make this comeback? But no, he just jumps CGI-ly and he lands and and it's over. And it's like, all right, okay, this was dumb. This whole thing was dumb.
Yeah.
Like, what? So he could like fucking bitch out this kid. Like he did nothing cool. Like he had the force powers. Like I wish either he did something we hadn't seen before, or it was like another close to dark moment. Because, and I hope that happens again the same way. I think it was season 1 or season 2. Maybe it was season 2. I guess when he force choked Cara Dune at one point.
Yeah.
And that was like, oh shit. Yeah, I think so. And that was like, oh, maybe he should go learn with somebody. And he did for a couple weeks, I guess. And then, he's all good now. But that I think would be very interesting if he were to imagine if he did that to one of these kids, or did something that got really hurt one of these kids. And then everyone would be like, hey, like, what the fuck is this thing? Like, I know they know about
Yeah.
the Force, but just kind of like, what are we doing here? Like, is this thing gonna like how like this supposed to be a training exercise, and you nearly killed my son by a Force? And I hope and that would be great because I'd actually like that if they had to like excommunicate them and say, hey, like we can't have. Yeah, we can't have you around here. Yeah, exactly. Back to John Wick. Like, we can't have you around here. Like, this thing, like, you can't control it. And then watch season ends with him dropping him back off at Luke. I would just fucking laugh. I laugh so much. But, like,
that's how we end every season. And then the start of the next season, it's been like 5 years or something, and he's just back again.
But Grogu always comes back in a different show. So, like in Ahsoka, he'll come back, that stuff like that. But, yeah, so that's what I was hoping for. Like, oh, fuck, because we've seen Grogu sometimes he pops off too much. And I was hoping that was going to happen here. But no, it's just a cute, like, darts. And now that's my worry, too. Are we ever going to go back to him darkly popping off? Or is just, like, that little time he was with Luke, like, cleared his system? And that's what I feel like they're going to say. It's just he's good to go now,
Yeah.
Cool.
I could still see it coming, like with the dark stuff, maybe more so like he's on it's like dire straits, maybe Mando's down and out, and like he really just needs to tap into some.
That doesn't
extra
count
juice.
though. If he dark sides like fucking Moff Gideon, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for him to hurt some innocent people,
Okay, well maybe that's the thing. He pops off on the dark the dark guys, the dark side users or something, and then it's like taking over him, and he just keeps going
all
on.
the
He's like, "Where's Ragnar?" Just like force chokes him.
Yeah,
I remember you.
Yeah, and then lastly, we didn't mention, but they're like, we have another foundling for you, and they killed this dragon's babies and just took these dragon's babies, which I'm also just like, I don't know how you're gonna raise these things.
For a moment, I thought Armor was gonna be like, "What the fuck am I supposed to do with these? Like get these out of here.
Take
this
them
is
back.
Not the way. Yeah, this is not the way."
And they killed off the big dragon alien, like very Jurassic World style, where it landed in the water, and then like a bigger.
Yeah.
There's always a bigger fish.
Always a bigger
right?
fish.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I said.
Well, let's take our last ad break because we're of course gonna get into the flashback, and that's probably the juiciest thing. So we'll be right back. We're back. I forgot to say, was there anything else on Bo or Din?
No,
I covered it.
No,
Yeah.
they're still looking badass. I still love Bo's
that was
outfit.
great.
Her armor looks so good, and it's good to see.
And they look better than a lot of other people because like I forget like
Yeah,
Din has so much like he's so, all like studded out, and everyone just has like this. It's weird though because it was like, and I got to give him credit because Steve Kohlberg said this on Twitter where it's just like other people have these dingy armor, but the problem with it, like all the dingy armor looks like very nice, like it's like completely like Disney made. Like I wish it looked more
cosplay, like the helmets. Yeah, like to your point, like they look not dirty and like raggedy, but like still not like the
they're
best
too
car
clean.
version.
I want them to be looking like Boba Fett in Return of the Jedi, where it's just like he. So that was funny, where it's like everyone just looks so clean, but it's funny that he's more shiny. So hopefully, but I think that's just a Disney Plus thing that they want to look clean. So it's funny that I saw that and I was like, oh, something looks off, and then I saw him brought up and other people. I'm like, yeah, they just look all like you said, like they just bought this out of Costume City. Like they all look so clean and stuff like that. But anyway, so we get this episode, or we get this in the middle of the episode. I don't remember where it happened. She built Grogu, a piece of armor or something. Where did he end up putting the armor?
Well, she just put it like on his chest, I guess.
Right,
for
it's
now,
like a bulletproof vest.
It looks like a
right?
shield. I got kind of pumped because for a second I thought it was gonna be like some crazy samurai hat.
You keep pitching Grogu to have headgear and stuff like that.
He's gonna get the helmet at some point.
At some point, yeah. But to me, it has to be a helmet that you can still see his eyes. Like that will be like, you know how the armors is like that, but obviously there's like a mask. I feel like you gotta get Grogu's where you can still see his face because that's like another toy.
Is that the whole point though, that you hide your face with the Mandalorian helmet?
So then why doesn't he have a helmet already then?
Because he can't speak. He can't do like the Creed scriptures or whatever. That's what Din said in this episode.
Okay,
he's not old enough. He's like, that doesn't count. That's what Ragnar said. He was all pissed off.
Fucking Ragnar. Anyway, so he's getting this armor built for him. That's everything. And then, like I said, I flashbacks to season 1 for myself. I hate when they do this, but here we are. Armor's pounding away.
I was giggling before because she's like prepping the forge.
Yeah,
it was just like pounding, and then it goes to Grogu. I'm like, oh no, we're going there. We've been here before,
and they did it. So respect to them, I guess. So they did it, and I did not think. So we're gonna get to it. go to Order 66 again. This is where Taylor is Man of Steel crying out somewhere. He'll, I'm sure, talk about it next week, or maybe we'll talk about it after 9 with some other people.
Yeah,
and he'll get a chance to talk about it then after 9. Join Patreon. We're gonna do Mario Party and after 9, so it'll be fun. So they do the flashback where we saw last, I guess, no, it was in Boba Fett, right? Because that happened in Boba Fett, where he had flashes to Order 66, and we've had this established that he was at Coruscant, he was in the temples, everything like that. And last time we left him was the doors were being bombarded by clone troopers, right? And this idea of, okay, well, someone had to get him out of there. Before we get to that, I was actually just surprised that we got the reveal. I did not think we'd be getting it and I know I'm bitching about like there's only 4 episodes left, so it is halfway through the season, but I guess I just didn't think here. I knew the title was called The Foundling, and that's why some people did rightly say, oh, I bet it's going to happen here, but I thought they might even just hold back a little bit more, and they didn't, because then what happens is these Jedi save him, they put him in an elevator, people are getting shot, they're dying, stuff like that. It closes, and then the door opens, and there's a Jedi there that has a lightsaber and a green or blue lightsaber, green lightsaber. I'm not sure if they're his or not.
Well, he
sure
had a blue, and then he picked up the dead Jedi's
okay,
green
thank you. I
one
missed
in
that
the
there.
elevator.
There you go. So he had a blue, picked up a green, but it's weird because he had like I think he had the green and then picked up the blue.
Maybe it
didn't
was
he?
reverse. I don't
something.
remember. Yeah,
And,
he picked up
I'm,
one of them.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure. Did you know who this actor was, Kirklin Patzer?
I had no, not at all.
Okay.
And then after I watched the episode, I like popped on the GV Discord, go join the GV Discord for the discussion on the Mandalorian spoiler section. And people were just like, "Oh, great cameo! What a cameo!" And I'm like, "What the fuck did I watch the wrong episode? I didn't see any cameo." I looked into it. Yeah, so it's the actor of Jar Jar Binks.
Amon Best. Yeah.
Is that a cameo? Is that what a cameo defines? I thought it was like a cameo would be like a character like Jar Jar Binks was in the episode. Oh, and he cameoed.
Well, it's an
in
actor cameo, I guess, right? Like he's making an appearance. It's kind of like
guess so.
It's kind of like Daniel Craig when he made a cameo as a voice in Force Awakens, right? As a stormtrooper and stuff like that. Like
so cameo
technical...
definition: a small character part in a play or movie played by a distinguished actor or celebrity. Small
there you
character
go.
part in a play. Okay, yeah,
Not the
okay,
play
yeah,
part,
okay,
no,
good point. There you go. Distinguished actor or celebrity. So
and like he's distinguished
Jar Jar.
for Star Wars. He's like that's why. And like
was I supposed to recognize him though, or just like because I should have known the name? Is that what it is?
I don't know. I guess have you seen Ahmed Best that much outside of Star Wars? Yeah.
Unfortunately, when I watched this episode, I'm like, I don't think this guy's that great of an actor.
Okay, don't listen. Don't start it because this guy for years got shit for playing Jar Jar, and that's the whole thing. So don't start it up again. Yeah, I don't think he's the greatest. But the thing is, because I knew just because I've watched every time I watch the prequels, I always watch the special features because there's the 3 special features I always watch. The Sam Raimi Spider-Man 1 special feature for that is great because 2 and 3 is all right, but number 1 DVD is all about like the process of like the casting, this and that, the chemistry between like go watch that. The other one is the Lord of the Rings one. The Lord of the Rings special features on that trilogy is fantastic. The best documentary filmmaking ever. And then the other ones I always watch is the prequels because I don't love the prequels, but I love the filmmaking behind it as far as just like seeing everything, even the CGI green screen, but just stuff of like Kenobi, like Ewan McGregor looking at different lightsabers and stuff. So that's how I've seen him in interviews before, but I know who Ahmed Best is just because like I've seen him so many times in the special features because Jar Jar is him, and then he wears a fake Jar Jar head on top of his head for the height. So
like
that's
a
how
Thanos thing.
Yeah, like a Thanos thing. Yeah. So that's how like I knew it. So he popped in, and that's where again it is good because this is a guy who he did tell a story. Not if he make you feel bad, but he did tell a story that like he almost killed himself just because like
oh no,
because like he just hated like he got so much shit for Jar Jar, right, and everything like that because and again that's something not like. It wasn't even his. That's a George Lucas thing, you know. And bet George Lucas also sold the sequel. And again, no one should be getting so hard on the people that they feel depressed about and stuff like that. So I was happy that I don't think like he's the greatest, but I think that's where it works here, where it's like maybe I guess we might get some other flashbacks and stuff like that where. And yeah, S-Bubs is right. Kelleran
Beck. That's cute.
Kelleran Beck is technically an existing character. It's the same character from the host Jedi game show. I'm not sure if you remember that they did that. I think on Disney Plus or something. It was like early on Disney Plus years, they announced they're doing a show where All My Best was hosting like a trivia show, and he was a Jedi like as the host. So they brought that Jedi into this show. So
Okay.
I think for a character that's probably going to not go many places other than maybe in the show, a few little appearances, I think that's very fun that you can bring him back and he likely has a better experience and people will be more welcoming and stuff like that. And it's just like a fun, and you know, again, I've said this before between last week and this week, the I love Coruscant. I love the idea of Coruscant. I love the look. Yes, there's CGI, but the idea of even the prequels, I was like, man, I want to go back there. In the sequel trilogy, I wanted to go back there so bad, and we never did. So, and even though we're going back there in prequel times in that same era, it's fun to see it updated. There's one moment where he was on the bike and like crashed on the ground. Same thing as the dragon. I was like, fuck, there's some like, this looks like great effects. Like, I will say that I feel like effects wise this season they've been pretty good. Like they've been uptight. So all the Coruscant stuff, the chase, everything, I loved it all. And it's funny where it's the reverse where, and I don't know how, I think it's a fun cameo because it's not the Luke thing, right? Season 2 is like, who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? And then end up being Luke. Where this is who's it gonna be? Who saved Grogu? And it's just a random Jedi, but it's a Jedi played by someone we know that's in the Star Wars lore, but it is just some random Jedi. And I think I do like that better because I think if it was somebody we knew, there's too much, like let's say the fucking thing opened up and it was Yoda, right? Or if it was, and it wouldn't be Kenobi because he was there, but you get my drift of if it's some character we know, then we have to start to do that thing where we have to fill in, at one point they knew Grogu, but then they split off and he never mentioned him. I think it's better where the temple had fucking hundreds of Jedi. It's fine that he would have just wanted to save this one. So
yeah, no, absolutely. And like, this is one of those things where like I had no idea that like that was that character. So I think like leading up to who was gonna be rescuing Grogu, I thought it was gonna be someone that either I probably wouldn't have known because it was in Clone Wars or something, and that's who I thought it was. So it's like, okay, this has no effect on me at all. There was like a highlight on him, so I felt like I should have been attached to it. So obviously, in hindsight, knowing that is the actor that played Jar Jar, and like I had no idea about all those hard times that he was going through, which is completely unnecessary, and that should never get to that case there.
It's just Star Wars, people.
It's just
a fake laser
it's just
show.
Star Wars, and like even if I'm watching it, it's just like I don't think he's the greatest actor by any means. Like that's no hate on the individual by any regards there, and yeah. So well, so what you're saying there, like it is cool that he can come back and like have a more positive Star Wars appearance. He's like an actual like full on Jedi now. That is really sweet.
It's a big upgrade.
The laughing stock of the prequels, unfortunately.
They just make this character like the most powerful Jedi. Like he's more powerful than Anakin, Rey, Kylo, Emperor. All like they go overboard of like, and then people hate him again because they made him too like
he
he's actually
like
the chosen
two
one.
double like sided lightsabers.
Yeah.
He's got two of them or something.
His feet can also do that. He has one at his mouth. Like he can actually no, he doesn't even have to use his hands. They're just like the lightsabers just following him around. Like he is like peak.
Oh, that's not what I thought you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say he's holding it with his cock or something. So.
Yeah, that too. Just like a third eye. You're just right. Because imagine that you're fighting a guy and then all of a sudden you're that standstill lightsabers, and then all of a sudden below just and like another one comes out and like. Misa thinks I win.
That's what he says too, as this other character, Kelleron, or whatever his name is.
They start giving him Jar Jar lines again, and he's like, "What the fuck? Like, I thought I was gonna be a different character."
This was in the contract. You can't do this.
Oh, actually, we're gonna reveal that you're Jar Jar's brother and stuff like that. He's a fucking Gungan. I'm this guy. What's going on? It just gets no, but so that's fun and everything. And it's funny though. I wonder, and this is where we're gonna talk again more on that special. I'm not trying to keep promoting, but join Patreon. But I wonder, because you think that right away, right? Where you see this guy and you go, he must be someone from the Clone Wars. So like you don't get hype, but you understand like, okay, it's probably something that I haven't read on. I wonder how the GA that just watches the show, like if they look at that and they're just like, it means nothing to them. Like literally nothing. They don't
Yeah.
know they've never probably heard the name Ahmed Best. They don't know this story. They don't know of any Star Wars things, and that's where I
That was
guess
basically me.
yeah, yeah, it was, I guess, right? And it's just like you just don't get an emotional reaction. So I feel like because it's not so much that I like the way they do it, but it's the way that because the elevator goes up and the door opens, this guy comes from the shadow. They make it seem like it's a big deal, right? And I just wonder if people go, like, who is this guy? Like, it's no one I know, you know?
I think it helps. It wasn't like a long sequence of him
Yes.
like just partnering up with Grogu to kick ass or something, and I don't know, like a big emotional moment with the character. I guess it would have been great for him, but like for the show's sake, like I'm completely fine with that time frame. Looking back on it now, like when I rewatch this episode, I probably will look at it a little bit more fondly, just knowing all the backstory and everything. But I think there's a big chunk of people. I mean, like I consider myself a Star Wars fan, and I didn't even know that, and so I don't think I'm alone in that regard. So I think it's not even just GA and like non-Star Wars fans that would feel that way. Like there'll probably be a lot of people like myself who maybe are able to see between the lines of this is probably someone relevant in the Star Wars universe. Now I know he was origined in the Star Wars game
go
show.
watch a game show and then you get the origin story for him. And obviously, other than the actor, did you like the scene as far as like we got the back end of the Order 66, the rescue, the big chase through Coruscant, which good kind of tribute to Attack of the Clone, which that's always one of my favorite sequences is when they're chasing that bounty hunter through there, and it's just the noises of Coruscant traffic it's lots of fun, you know.
It's very like Fifth Element vibes. I love that like sci-fi with like the space traffic. Futurama has it as well.
It's a great planet. They got to go there more, you know.
Absolutely, and I mean, we've been there a couple times already with this season. With
True,
the,
and Andor we went back to for a little bit, right? We got the whatever the what's that round? Those
the
in
Senate
the court,
thing.
the Senate, whatever they're called. But yeah, so I'm happy.
I always get it wrong. I always mix it up with the other one. Taylor educates me, but he's not here.
No, it's not that. It's not that. It's the Box 2000 room.
It's the Box 2000. Yeah, everything with Coruscant, I was eating all that up. Like even from like the first get-go when it's from like Grogu's perspective with the Jedi in the hallway. We've seen that scene, I swear, so many times now of like little glimpses of them just like with their lightsabers. You got the clones coming through. I still had just like chills on my arm watching it. Like it's so fun getting taken back to that like really brutal event in Star Wars history and just like seeing at it from like a different lens, a different just vantage point or something like that. And like it was cool seeing like when they were flying off like the Jedi Temple just burning in the background, and it like and then they like drive through traffic, and like I was just thinking like, man, there's so many people that are just like going on with their day to day, meanwhile like the Jedi are just getting purged next to them, and like they don't even care. Like you could just see the whole Jedi Temple like on fire, but they're just going home. You know, they probably got off work or something, whatever the Star Wars people are doing on Coruscant, too preoccupied to pay attention to the flaming Jedi Temple that's just this like giant landmark that's just completely engulfed in flames. But yeah, seeing the clones with their like clone armor before they got swapped over to the Stormtrooper. I always love seeing that, especially with like modern day just I don't know, camera shots. Like they just look so clean and just less CGI than how I've seen them in the prequels. So I loved all that stuff. I like seeing like the different armor colors for them. It was cool to see like they're like, again, this might be where I need Taylor, but like the Naboo like guard characters, like they're like all in the red.
Yeah. They're technically, aren't they Palpatine's guards or whatever?
Oh, are they? Okay, I thought it was.
Or are they not?
Well, I guess Palpatine's from Naboo, so that would kind of track.
Yeah.
I just recognize like the transport ship there as being like a. Again, this is where I need Taylor, but like it's like a Naboo Imperial transport ship or something, and the only like the main person that I think of when I see that ship is Padme, and literally for a moment I'm like, oh my god, Padme's gonna be here, but then I had to remind myself of where we are in the chronological. It's like, oh yeah, okay, never mind, she's long deceased.
She takes Grogu and he's back in. That's what happens.
He chokes her just like Anakin did, like her. You're breaking my heart.
She's like, I'm just gonna talk to Anakin. You stay here. When I come back, Anakin will train you. And then he's just like in Padme's, and then Jimmy Smits adopts him and all this stuff. And Yeah, and that, like Espo points out, yeah, they drove past the peak, of course, on the show last episode where the guy and the girl are eating their like little whatever pops, like their gel pops they're talking
Oh
about.
yeah.
Remember, there's like that one big like
Oh, I remember.
sculpture.
I
Yeah, and
hated it.
he crashed. Well, they crashed by that. They didn't crash into it, unfortunately for you, but you didn't like the sculpture.
I like the sculpture. I like that idea. This is like the one natural landscape, or the highest peak, I should say, on Coruscant. I just really didn't love like the whole bonding of those characters and like where like I don't know. Listen to the review on that one. I
will.
did
I
not.
haven't listened to you.
I did not love that sequence of events because I just felt like I did not give a shit about these characters at all.
fair.
We spent so
Yeah.
much time just bonding with them, and then what happens at the end? They like one of them betrays the other one. It's like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah, no, I had only listened to the non-spoilers version because I hadn't seen the episode yet. So what distracted me in that scene was the fucking like the popsicles they had. There was some weird. It was like a really weird like it's a weird CGI thing where it's like I get what they're going for, but it's like it's like Star Wars prequels where I was like this doesn't look like it's there at all. Like these actors are not eating this.
That's exactly what I thought. I'm like this guy. I'm picturing this guy doing a weird motion with like a non-ice cream that I know
It's just
isn't
like
there.
it's a green stick, you know.
He's like. And he's really like selling it, getting like his whole lips around it. It's like, oh, okay, overacting.
What's this? It's good.
Eat it like jerky. Yeah. They don't tell him what he's eating, and he's like,
Oh, fuck. All right, when you bite on this time, like a little bit's gonna spray out on you. Okay. Oh.
oh, he's like two-handing it.
Just ruin this guy's career.
The director's just totally fucking with him. Like, okay, now you're gonna like totally stroke it.
And what they should have done is send him a scene before where it is like that, but then actually it's not gonna go out. Like they just say, "Oh, this is your scene," especially because like that character dies, so he's never gonna come back again in the Star Wars and stuff like that. But yeah. I wouldn't be eating those popsicles, but yeah, so we'll see. I wonder if we'll see that character again. I bet we'll at least see it one more time because we didn't get the result of what happened to Grogu, right? They were just flying off. We still got to see like how did he end
I
up?
forgot what we're even talking about now. I was thinking about last week's episode. Yes,
Yeah.
What's his name?
Re-review. I was on that. Let's
Kelleron.
re-review the episode. No. Yeah, like the thing is that we just saw them speeding away, right? So we really like the point is how does Grogu get to the point where Mando finds him just like floating by himself? Do I give a shit about that? No, not really. Like we
Will you get the answer this season? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, or next year. That'll be the big fucking.
okay.
But like I guarantee you, we'll get flashbacks again. So it's like I don't even need an answer of where he came from per se, but the fact that he answered cool. But that's not something I know that people were really into Who Saved Grogu. That's not something that was keeping me up.
Yeah, I did like because like we knew that he survived Order 66. I feel like at the end of the day I could have just lived with that and just maybe focus some more screen time with other portions like learning more about the Mandalorians. But still like the execution of those shots were really well done. So would you ask me to get this scene or not get this scene and like miss out on the Coruscant stuff? I would definitely take the Coruscant stuff because it was done really well. But if you're comparing it to some really juicy Din Djarin stuff and like really focused on the Mandalorian, I think I would maybe take that over this, at least if I knew kind of the quality of it, like if they really excelled with it.
And you see tons of people wouldn't. Tons of people like and that's where I'm not saying they're wrong, but like Taylor, like tons of people will take that like this Order 6060, which is always the argument of like the story versus the memorabilia's nostalgia, right? And I'm with you where I would rather take some more story stuff. My hope is like this is just the end. I don't need more, but I just feel like we're gonna get more. But I'd be happy with, hey, they want to explain that some Jedi got them out of Order 66. Cool. The rest, like the reason why I don't need to know the rest because I just don't feel like it's gonna be that interesting. Like I don't feel like I'm gonna need to know how he ended up on like how was our contract for him. Like I don't necessarily need that, but I'm assuming we will get that, you know?
Yeah. It seems like maybe if we had like more big moments in this Mandalorian season, if we got a moment like this, I know the Taylors of the world would eat it up like every day of the week, but if this was just like a side route from like some big juicy Mandalorian, things, I feel like I could definitely see myself going the route of just being disappointed of like, why are we spending time on this? Like, we should get back to that awesome juicy content there, but we haven't really been doing too much this season. So
No.
this
Yeah.
seemed like a fun little detour quest, which really stood out on the overall scheme of the season. Is that the best way to have though? Like in the Mandalorian, I don't know.
No.
Probably
Well,
not.
and that was the problem with Boba Fett too. The best episodes of Boba Fett weren't Boba Fett, right? And that's
Yeah.
like, and this is still technically, yeah, it's still technically Mandalorian, but it's like the most exciting thing in this episode is the thing that's not, not a part of the main storyline right now.
Yeah.
But
Alas.
we'll see. We'll see next week. Yeah, I don't know when the space pirate's coming, so I hope that's gonna be something at some point. But yeah, we'll be back next week. I'm excited because I'm sure too in these next 4 episodes we'll be getting a Bryce Dallas Howard episode, and that's always a good one. She
Mhm.
always delivers. So
This was Grief. This was
Yeah.
Carl Weathers. So
he's done it
great to see
before.
him.
Yeah,
What other episode? Has he done many?
I think I think he did one last year for sure.
Okay.
I think the one he directed last year, or no, well, not last year, but for Mandalorian was the episode where it was Grief, Mando, and Cara Dune all together when they did like the little mission on like a moon
Oh,
or
the
something.
siege.
Yeah. So I think that's what he directed. I think he only
Okay.
directs. I thought he only directed episodes with him, but he was not to be seen in this episode. So
No.
my favorite Mandalorian director giving us, imagine that if the thing would open up and it was just Grief, and she's like, my favorite little Yoda man, like that. They just make it that he knew Grogu this entire time, didn't say anything.
I would have loved that probably for meme purposes. It probably would have very much
Yeah.
upset the balance of the force amongst
Star
the
Wars
Star Wars
community would have
fans.
fucking lost their minds. What do you mean? And then Grief's like some Sith or something like that. Like he's like Palpatine's apprentice or something. Oh man, good thing we don't run Star Wars. But anything else, sir?
No, I think we covered lots today.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's everything for me. So yeah, make sure you go. We'll be back for the next 4 weeks. Taylor should be back, and like I said, maybe if not on After 9, we'll get his thoughts there. I'm sure he had a good time. You go check on the Discord. This man's trying to I gotta tell you this quote. But I was waiting to call him out all day because Clay quote tweeted him again in our Discord. He's doing this thing where he's trying to gaslight me over here, because he said he dropped a Riddler gift, and he said, "What is the price for your blind eye?" And I said, "I'll give you the whole story here." I said, "Apparently for Lucasfilm, it's a good story." And Taylor goes, "Here's a little preview of his review. We got a classic Mandalorian adventure with much more story added." And I pressed him on much. He kept saying much, but that's okay. Now I'm worried about not being on the show later. You're gonna send our Star Wars fans running. And then I said, look at the ratings of the shows. They're doing that themselves. And then Taylor goes, I don't need ratings to tell me if I like something. I never said that. I never want. And I said, did I say that? And then later on, Clay, Patreon Clay, he did the quote tweet reply thing. And he said, I agree. This episode was sweet. I never once told anybody because the ratings are low, you can't like it. He just told me that the fans are going to run. And I said,
like
no.
Andor. Terrible ratings.
Terrible ratings, right? But he's trying to gaslight me into oh, well, Travis says you can't enjoy it if it's bad ratings now. It's like this motherfucker. So whenever I get him, I'm gonna be pulling this up.
That's why it's good that you're here tonight, not him, because he would just totally shit all over your comments there. He probably would have done.
Oh yeah,
I
would not
let
let him.
Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, we'll be back next week with some more Mandalorian, and it won't be boring. May the Force be with you.
Always.